Welcome back, everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive into the world of AI governance.
Oh, this is a big one.
It really is.
Yeah.
We're going to explore how the whole world is trying to manage the power of AI. We're using a bunch of great material from the Artificial Intelligence Governance Network's podcast and all the stuff they put out.
Sounds like fascinating stuff.
It is. And the big question we're asking is, can international cooperation keep up with AI? Because it's moving so fast, right?
It absolutely is, and that's what makes this such a crucial question. AI doesn't care about borders.
Nope, it doesn't.
The impact of AI, good or bad, it's going to be felt everywhere. It's way too big for any one country to deal with on their own.
That's so true. And we're already seeing both the good and bad sides of AI playing out, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely.
We think about healthcare.
Yeah.
AI could completely revolutionize how we treat diseases, maybe even cure some we thought were impossible. Or what about scientific research?
Oh, yeah.
AI could speed up discoveries and breakthroughs. We can't even imagine what that would look like yet.
The possibilities are really mind-blowing.
They are. But then you have the potential for harm, too. Like, what about the spread of misinformation and increased surveillance? And what if AI just makes the divides in our society even worse?
All valid concerns, and they're exactly why international cooperation is so important. One really good example of this cooperation is the AI Safety Summit that was held in 2023 at Bletchley Park in the UK.
Wait, Bletchley Park, isn't that where they broke the Enigma code in World War II?
That's the one.
Wow, talk about a setting with some serious history behind it.
Yeah, no kidding. It definitely set the stage for some important discussions. You had leaders from 28 countries all coming together, and they produced the Bletchley Declaration.
Okay, so what's the Bletchley Declaration?
Basically, it lays out three core principles for governing AI.
I'm listening.
First, they all agreed to implement safety checks for any AI system that's considered high risk. Second, they said developers need to be more transparent about how their AI works.
So no more black boxes.
Right. And third, they emphasized the need for global collaboration.
So these aren't just like vague ideas. They're actually putting concrete steps in place.
Yeah, there's real substance to it. And you know what was really interesting to me about the declaration?
What's that?
Even China signed on.
Wow, China too?
Which is a big deal because they're often seen as like a major competitor in the AI race.
Yeah, they are.
So the fact they signed on, it just shows you how important this is. It really does transcend these geopolitical rivalries.
It really does make you think, huh, I wonder if maybe the economic implications have something to do with it. AI is projected to add trillions of dollars to the global economy, right?
Some estimates say $15.7 trillion to the global GDP by 2030.
Wow.
That's more than the entire GDP of China right now.
That's a huge number.
It is. But here's the thing. Without the right safeguards, we could lose $1 trillion.
Wait, lose $1 trillion?
How? Because of misuse of AI,
Yeah.
Security breaches, all kinds of risks.
That's a scary thought. Okay, so we've got governments talking to each other, which is great. But what about the tech giants?
Right.
The ones actually building all of this AI. Are they just watching all this happen from the sidelines?
No, not at all. In 2024, the AI Seoul Summit happened. That brought together 16 of the biggest tech companies in the world.
So who are we talking about here?
Google, Microsoft,
Uh-huh.
even Chinese companies like Baidu and Alibaba.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they all committed to doing risk assessments.
Risk assessments. What do you mean?
Before they deploy any new AI models, they're also working on ways to limit any potential harm. Like, they're talking about things like kill switches.
Kill switches. Whoa. That sounds intense, like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But it sounds like there's some real progress being made on a global level.
It's not all just summits and declarations.
Okay, good. So who's actually doing the hard work of making the rules?
International organizations, they're really diving into the nitty-gritty, setting standards and figuring out the frameworks for how AI governance will work.
So there's real action happening behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Who are the main players?
Well, you might be surprised to hear that UNESCO is one of them.
UNESCO. I thought they were all about, like, World Heritage Sites and education. What does that have to do with AI?
It might seem a little strange, but UNESCO's doing a lot with AI. They actually put out the very first Global Framework for Ethical AI back in 2021.
Wow, okay.
And get this, it impacts 193 member states.
So most of the world.
Pretty much. And one of their big goals is to try and prevent the economic damage that could happen because of AI-driven discrimination.
Economic damage, like how much are we talking?
UNESCO estimates that by 2030, just in the workplace alone, we could lose $1 trillion.
$1 trillion just from bias built into AI systems.
That's a serious issue.
It really is. Okay, so UNESCO is tackling the ethical side of things. What about the other organizations?
Another really big one is the OECD,
OECD.
the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development.
Okay.
They've created these AI principles that the G20 countries have adopted,
What are those all about?
making sure AI benefits humanity.
That sounds like a good thing.
It is. But they also point out the possibility of jobs being lost.
Right, because AI could automate a lot of what people do.
Exactly. They estimate that AI could change about 14% of jobs globally by 2025.
So both opportunity and risk. What about the UN? What's their role in all of this?
Oh, the UN's right in the thick of it. They have an AI advisory group, they're shaping global standards, and they have this AI for Good summit.
AI for good. So it's not all just scary stuff.
Not at all. And it's not just talk. The UN believes AI can help achieve 15 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals.
Really? So ending poverty, improving health, things like that.
All of that.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, are there any, challenges when it comes to making this global cooperation work?
Well, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be a deep dive if there weren't some roadblocks, right?
Sure.
One of the biggest ones is just that different countries have different priorities.
So even if everyone agrees AI governance is important, actually getting on the same page is tough.
Exactly. Take the EU, for example. They're really pushing for a lot of regulation. Things like the AI Act, which has really strict rules for high-risk AI.
I've heard of that.
Then you have the US. They want to be more hands-off. They're worried about slowing down innovation.
Yeah, I can see both sides.
And then there's China. They have their own thing going on with a lot of state control.
So it's a real balancing act.
It is. And then there's also the problem of the tech gap.
Okay, Cap.
Some countries just don't have the money or expertise to keep up with how fast AI is developing.
So they get left behind.
Basically, yeah.
Right.
Which could lead to only the most powerful countries benefiting from AI.
And widening global inequality even more.
Right.
What else? Are there other challenges?
Well, you also have to think about cultural clashes. What's ethical in one place might not be in another.
Oh, yeah, like with data privacy.
Exactly. The EU is really big on data privacy, while China uses AI for surveillance.
It's hard to see how you reconcile those different viewpoints.
It is. And then on top of all of that, you have the speed of AI itself. AI is evolving so quickly.
It's crazy.
I mean, you could have a rule or regulation, and by the time it's even written, it's already outdated.
So how do you even keep up?
That's the million-dollar question. We have to create governance frameworks that are flexible and can adapt to the rapid pace of change in AI.
Okay, so we've talked about the global stage, the different organizations involved, and some of the big challenges. But what does all this mean for people on the ground? How does AI governance affect companies and regular people like us? It feels like a lot for businesses to keep up with.
It is. It's a really complex landscape for them right now. They have to deal with all these different regulations, which can be costly and really slow down innovation.
Makes sense.
Some people even think that strict rules, like the ones in the EU, could end up backfiring.
Oh, how so?
Well, they could stifle progress, and then companies in places with fewer rules might actually have an advantage.
Right, right. So it's like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah. They want to be responsible, but they also have to stay competitive, right?
Of course.
But, there's also a real upside for businesses when it comes to AI governance.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, when you follow the rules, it builds trust with customers.
Oh, that's important, especially now with so many people worried about the downsides of AI.
Exactly. People care about things like ethics and data privacy, and they want to see that companies are taking those things seriously.
So it's like a way for companies to say, hey, we're the good guys. We're doing AI the right way.
That's a great way to put it. And there's actual data that shows that people are more likely to trust companies that have a good track record on AI ethics.
That makes sense.
And you know what else? Having those clear guidelines can actually help innovation.
I thought it was the opposite.
Well, it kind of sets boundaries, right?
Oh.
So it encourages companies to be creative and innovative, but within those ethical limits.
So it's not just restrictions. It's about responsible innovation.
So that's exactly it.
Okay, so we talked about the impact on business. But what about the rest of us? How does this affect society in general?
At the most basic level, these regulations, they're there to protect us
Protect us from what?
from AI that goes wrong.
Okay, like what kinds of things?
Well, think about data breaches
Yeah.
or algorithms that are biased and can lead to people being treated unfairly,
Mhm.
or even AI being used to spread misinformation.
So it's like a safety net. Like if things start to go sideways, the regulations are there to catch us.
Exactly. It's about protection, but it's also about making sure that AI is used to create opportunities that benefit everyone.
That's important.
Because it really can do a lot of good. It could revolutionize healthcare,
Yeah.
make cities more efficient, more sustainable, maybe even help us fight climate change.
It really all comes down to how we use it. It's not AI itself that's good or bad. It's the choices we make.
Couldn't said it better myself. And that brings us back to why global cooperation is so crucial.
Yeah. We all have to work together to make sure that AI is a force for good in the world.
Exactly.
Well, I think we covered a lot of ground today. We talked about the summits, all the different organizations involved, and how all of this impacts businesses and individuals. So what's the key takeaway for our listeners today?
AI governance is not just some abstract idea. It's about shaping our future.
It's about making choices.
Exactly. We need to decide how we want AI to be used and how we can make sure it's developed and used responsibly and ethically.
Because it's a future that we all have a part in creating. We've reached the end of our deep dive for today, but I want to leave you with one last thought. Will we be able to balance harnessing AI's power and protecting ourselves from the risks? The answer, I think, is up to us. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you next time.